Oh, no, he's going to deviate for the moment. This is going to be quite important because if he finds this, there we go, he'll see the base now. And on top of that worker, so he will actually manage to keep it alive. So he knows now that he's in a little bit of time pressure, because Jibs will have slightly better production now. As you can see by the fact that he's got slightly more barracks just producing units, as well as the catapult production from both players. And Veni actually choosing to... okay, so that makes sense. So what Veni's done here is he's taken advantage of the fact that he's already got this base. So this base is going to be very safe for him to take. And just walling it off with double barracks. So you can see the only real way in is this sort of choke here. And then he can take another base if he needs to quite safely. It's a quite intelligent choice of sort of late game planning, despite a possible sort of early game weakness there. But he knows his opponent's style. JBS likes to sort of head to the slightly later game these days, where he's quite strong. There's going to be +2 +1 versus just +2 at the moment. And you see, this is quite a lot of mages here, which will do a lot of damage versus sort of this quite rifleman heavy force of Jibs. Jibs does have mages of his own, but not quite enough yet, I don't think, to really do a huge amount of damage. And Jibs actually grabbing heal spells to support his troops. Heal spell is an interesting mechanic because it's just a single target. So for large units, so like soldiers or for dragons, they can keep them alive a long time, but they don't have the scalability of spells like sort of flame strike. These counter catapults won't be able to hit his opponent now, although this mage is out of position. So he's going to be able to siege up this third base of his opponent now, and force him to react. It's going to be quite interesting how this works. Veni really doesn't want to engage into this choke. If he does, he knows his opponent's spells will do a huge amount of damage to him. Jibs is sort of pressuring and heading back now. Veni, Jibs should be able to fire across his tree line later to just put some more pressure on. But he doesn't want to get too involved in engaging, and just backs off, having done a little bit of damage to his opponent. So Jibs actually now taking... he's securing his top base with a fort, possibly heading into dragons later, as well as just securing another base down the bottom here, which would be a double base. So both players are sort of locking down the late game sort of bases, so they don't have to worry about that. We're going to see Veni actually has gone for a lot of mages here. He's got 9 basically full mana mages in his core composition, as well as more catapults. So JBS essentially has more soldiers, in his 7 soldiers, which will allow him to force his opponent back, and if they can get on top, will do a huge amount of damage. They've got great DPS and longevity, but it's whether they can survive that initial barrage of extra catapult shots, and if they can split well enough against these flame strikes. Flame strikes, if you've not seen in previous games, really can turn the tide of a battle here. Jib's actually looking to break into his expansion at the top. I'm not sure that's necessary. He's kind of locked down all the bases he needs at the moment, but just going to see what he can find. Keeping an eye on his opponent's sort of lower castle here, making sure he hasn't taken a bunch of extra expansions. Second workshop coming down now for Veni. And you see it's still quite even gold mined. So they're going to still have to worry about how their engagements go. You don't want to risk suddenly losing the whole game because your army's out of position and die from flame strike. Veni now taking this castle down top. Veni actually choosing to keep a house here, which will give him a bit more scouting information on his opponent. Jib's taking another mid-map base as well as sort of zoning out his opponent with towers. And Jib's taking a tower on the top left to secure some more bases himself. Jib's actually probably now has more bases than he can realistically mine, but we'll see. Both players are maxed out now. Yeah, Veni just taking another base here down the bottom left, bottom right even. So he is going to have a comfortable position to try and pressure this base from his opponent. Both players have been sort of building bases down towards the bottom right, dividing the map between them. And he is going to be beginning to assail this base here. Then he's throwing down a tower to just try and harass a little bit. This is alright for JBS though, for Jibs. He's not really got many workers invested here. This will be a bit of a pain. His army is trailing in a little bit here. And he's actually choosing to block off with a tower and a workshop just to slow his opponent down. Really nice build there. Essentially working like force fields if you haven't played StarCraft. Doesn't manage to cancel it before the catapult shots land, but just forcing JBS at bay, and we'll be able to sort of get rid of this base on the right hand side here. Both players still have about 30 workers, so JBS is not too worried about losing space on the right hand side. It's annoying, but he has about 5 other bases, 5 bases total on the map there. So space will be forfeit. They might leave these towers to go up. Okay, looks like he's just going to leave these towers to go up. Going to take a little bit of sort of map control here. So you can see these soldiers from Jibs aren't going to engage so well in these little chokes. So this is going to be quite a difficult place for him to engage. Veni just opening up more map space for himself on the right there, so some freedom to move around. Jib's actually choosing just to try and put this base back down right in the face of his opponent. Pretty confident he can take this battle. But he does lose 2 catapults to the front there, which is a big deal since he's down catapults to begin with. And he is going to be forced to back off there for a bit. Jibs currently has 3 less catapults and he has 5 less mages. Those extra soldiers will be nice. He does have a few extra riflemen. But these higher tech units, the catapults and the mages, are going to really help Veni to sort of decide how the map goes and sort of control who gets pushed around a bit. So it's going to be, I think that's +5 +3 versus +4 +4. So upgrade's still slightly in Jibs' favour, as Jibs throws down another base in the top left here. And actually choosing to fully pack this out with towers, as well as getting fort in the bottom left here. Not saying dragons yet though, despite the forts on both sides. You can see both players beginning. JBS amassing quite a lot of gold here, but Veni actually keeping his quite low. So Veni is actually going to come around the side here. Oh, I didn't realise it's actually Veni's tower. So Veni is going to push around the left hand side, see if he can take out another base, put some more pressure on his opponent. Where's Jibs' army? Oh, okay, Jibs' army is a little bit out of position. He's going to send a few soldiers down to harass his opponent. But these workers being forced to retreat, and this is a lot of mages here. This is 12 mages, so those fireballs are going to be devastating if they land on the units of Jibs. And although the base doesn't go down, this is going to be quite difficult for Jibs here. Veni again choosing to just form these sort of artificial chokes with buildings. The other thing also, if I just show you, these give quite a lot of vision range here just while they're building. So they'll be really useful for helping decide on engagement, because a lot of catapult shots land on these first few catapults though, which is not how you really want it to go. Veni does have significantly more catapults, so that will help him out in the fight there. And then he just set up a nice position just to pressure this base and see what he can do. Doesn't look like the soldier harassment got much done. They're down the bottom left here and they are heavily upgraded. They're going to struggle to do a huge amount of damage. Veni just trying to dance forward a bit, but Jibs is actually trading really well with these catapults here. Tower does go down now for Veni, which will also limit his vision. JBS is actually going to have better catapult vision. Veni's choosing to rotate up to the top side here, just trying to do some more damage, and this base will be under threat unless he checks it. Jibs actually now choosing to move in on these undefended catapults. The catapults will do a lot of damage to Jibs' forces. 2 catapults go down immediately for Veni, and unless he comes down to protect these, this is a really expensive loss for him. Dropping down to 77 supply. It's going to drop another tower down. And here come the flame strikes, most of them landing on the back end of Jibs' units. A lot of Veni's mages are really quite low health, but they've got a lot of mana to spend. Both players just trying to poke around, find out where their opponent actually is. Not a huge amount of long distance vision with the units in Nether Wargame at the moment. So a lot of it's sort of trying to throw down these buildings and poking single units forward to work out where your opponent is. You can't really, with these sort of small sort of 20-30 unit armies, you can't really afford to just send units away for free. Well, saying that, Jib's actually got mages left over at the back and side here. He's managing to keep harassing his opponent, as meant to take out a worker line here, which is going to really help him with the fact that he's got slightly more bases now. But doesn't quite get the catapult he wanted. You can see Veni actually hasn't replenished, or is even now replenishing, the fact that he's dropped down to only 20 workers. So his income is going to be a lot lower, and JBS will start to be able to trade away with his opponent. His catapult's possibly a bit open, but I think JBS's... Where is JBS's army is over on the left hand side here. So Veni really needs to make sure he fixes this and actually gets his income back up. Thing is, he's nearly at max supply, so he does have the supply to do it, but I think he's trying to cap out on units, which is alright for a single engagement, but it means he will reinforce a lot slower here. And looks like another counter-attack is going to go down side here. JBS just confirming there's no position third base. There's a lot of mages here on the left hand side, which will do a lot of damage to this base. This fort though is going to be really hard to harass without his catapults with him. JBS doesn't really want to engage into this choke. This is 15 mages here for Veni now, but this choke is a bit more open. Veni's got a nicer concave. First few flame strokes drop on the back end of these units, but so much NG between these two players that actually they can afford to lose the odd mage. Oh, catapult shot does land and takes out one for Jibs there. Jibs still on a catapult deficit, as well as on a mage deficit. He's got slightly more barracks units, but I'm not sure quite how well that's going to go for him. Veni now actually managing to pressure this fort. Does have 1800 health, so it's going to be difficult for him to burn down too quickly. You can see this little choke is not where either player wants to engage. They're holding back. Just possibly looking to sort of counter-attack around the side perhaps, but he is going to sacrifice this base. You can see JBS actually also taking this double expansion on the opposite side. And you can start to see there's about 3k difference now between the players in terms of gold, where Veni's worker sort of deficit is going to start to cost him. So this base does go down without too much contest. too much contesting there from Jibs.